see, change is inevitable. So it's never too late to make a difference as an individual. Cause we gotta do that to become better as a whole. All for one, and one for all.
Good morning, Wolfpack. I hope you have an amazing day today. Whatever this day brings you, I hope it's exactly what it wants or what you want. So, topic of this morning, I'm gonna dive a little bit more into this later on today, but it's weighing on me heavily, and the topic is feeling useless. So, my son came to me the other day, and I know a lot of people feel like this. So just listen if you do. My son came to me the other day, and I was outside with my dad building a deck for a back porch. Finally getting a deck. Always wanted a deck. Finally getting one. Wanted the kids to help. Wanted them to experience it. Learn something. And my son, during this ordeal, like I said, there's more of the story. We'll get deeper into it in the live later today. But my son had a bit of an attitude problem. And I kind of went off on him. Well, I didn't kind of. I went off on him. Thought it was for a totally different reason. That he just didn't want to do it. And he had an attitude. Well, naturally, he had an attitude with me. So I got an attitude with him. Well, a little bit later on, I ended up asking him, because he still just had an attitude. I just could tell something was wrong, so I finally asked him. And I had asked him earlier, before I got the attitude back with him, what was wrong with him. He just kept telling me nothing. And so a little bit later, I finally, I asked him again, like, just, what is wrong with you today? What is going on? My son proceeds to tell me that he's just feeling useless. And it was a shock. Like what do you mean? What do you mean you feel useless? Where did this come from? And he proceeds to tell me that last night at his job, he's 16, this is his first job. He's a grill cook. I can't talk this morning. He's a grill cook for a nice restaurant, and he's learning. He's only been there for like 3 weeks now, maybe going on about a month. He goes to tell me that he just felt useless last night at his job. And I'm like, well, why? What's going on? So he tells me that he messed up 2 of his orders that he had. He was supposed to bread something, some chicken or something like that. I don't remember what it was. He was supposed to bread something in this order, and he messed it up, and he didn't bread it. And I'm like, okay. I was like, so how many orders did you actually make last night? Like, he was like, oh, it was a pretty busy night. By the way, this was Saturday. This was Saturday that we talked. And so it would have been Friday night. Then, the Friday, Saturday's busiest schedule. I'm like, all right, well, how many orders, did you do that night? He kind of sat there for a minute and sat there, and I'm like, well, give me a roundabout number. Just guess. Just give me a guesstimate. Finally, he was like, well, maybe around 50. And I was like, so I looked at him and I just kind of shook my head, and I'm like, Bub, like, you're telling me that out of 50 orders, you only messed up 2? And you're being hard on yourself and you're feeling useless because you messed up 2? He's like, well, I shouldn't have messed those up. And I was like, you're not getting my point. You got 48 orders right, but you're being hard on yourself for messing up 2. I was like, that's numbers alone. That's amazing. That's great. You're busy all night, busting your ass all night, and you're still learning. Of course, you're going to make mistakes, but you're being hard on yourself for messing up 2 orders when you did about 50. So you got 48 orders right, but you're worried about the 2 that you got wrong. We went, into a conversation, and, I'm just, trying to explain to him, like, look, like, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody messes up. Especially when you're new at something. Especially when you're, freaking trying to learn something. I was like, you've only been at this job for, around 3 weeks. You're still new. Like, you don't think that head cook doesn't mess up? You don't think the waiters and the waitresses and the managers, and you don't think they never mess up? You know how many restaurants I've been to and gotten the wrong order, or the food's cold, or it takes too long, or whatever. And I was like, everybody messes up. But if you just sit here and listen to this stupid little voice in your head that's telling you that you're useless, you got to fight that and battle that with facts. You can't sit here and dwell on the 2 things. You got to look at it. You're looking at it wrong. Instead of looking at it that, oh, I messed up twice. No, I got 48 right. So then after that, I told him, like, everybody messes up. But you have to learn from your mistakes. Next time, you'll know, if that's the way you're feeling, then next time, remember the bread. It's that easy. You're going to mess up more. Throughout your whole life, you're going to mess up. I was like, I mess up all the time. We got to a certain part of the deck, and they were helping me again, and, so I started pointing out all my mistakes with this deck. I was like, I've never built a deck before. My dad had to come over here and get me started and explain how to do it. And then, and then I, got the hang of it and was like, okay, got this. But as me and him were going through, and I'm like, look at this. I was like, it's mistakes that nobody else will ever be able to tell. I said, and I started rattling them off. Look, here's a mistake. Here's where I messed up. Here's, this is where here's another one, and another one, and another one, and this one, and that. It's just going down the line. And I keep telling them, see, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody always makes mistakes. I don't care how good you are at something, you're still going to mess up. Sports, football team, they mess up a play. They, don't catch a pass they should have. They don't block when they should have. I went on to tell them, like, you don't think I mess up on this farm? I mess up on this farm all the time. Everybody messes up. And instead of dwelling on the negative and letting your mind run and sit here and make you feel useless Actually think about the positive. Throw facts at yourself. You got 48 orders right, and you're beating yourself up over 2. I know a lot of you people feel like that out here. I know a lot of us only sit around and dwell on the negative like this, not realizing that there's so much positive, and there's so many things that we actually do right, but all we can do is sit around and think about the negative. You got to change your mindset. You got to think of the things that you are doing right. And like I said, when it comes to something new and you're learning, of course you're going to make mistakes, because you've never done it before. Mistakes are, and mess ups and is how we learn. If you never friggin' mess something up, then you really didn't learn anything. Because the mistakes are where you actually learn. Like, oh, okay, I did that wrong. Now I got to figure out how to do it right. Or now I know next time, don't do it like this. Just like with this deck I'm building. This is not a regular farm project for animals that are just going to, to live in or use or something. And it don't really matter if it don't look pretty. Or this deck, I got to take my time and make sure I'm going, slow and going through everything and making sure that I'm not messing up a whole hell of a lot, because people are going to see it. I'm going to see it. It's the same thing about this. When I did my living room or remodeled my living room and gutted it completely, got it all done, got it all finished. The girlfriend is excited about it, happy about it, and she just loves it, thinks it's amazing that I could do it, thinks it looks great. And you know what I sat back and did after I was done? I could see all the little mistakes and all the flaws and everything I did, and it completely ruined it for me. And even she told me, she was like, it looks so much better than what it did before. Yeah, there's little things wrong with it here and there. She's like, but unless you would have pointed them out, I would have never noticed it. It happens. Point is that it looks a lot better than what it is. But I did the same thing my own son did. Instead of being proud of myself that I sat there and remodeled an entire room, completely gutted, ran electricity and everything, I, picked out all the little flaws and was hard on myself. And of course there's going to be flaws. I'm not no fucking construction worker. I'm not no friggin', house builder. I don't do this shit for a living. So yeah, of course there's going to be mistakes. Even when they do it. Even when I've seen some houses that people have done and it's professional work, there's still mistakes. They're just better at hiding them. So if you're feeling like that today or any day, and you feel like you're stuck and you're just feeling useless, you got to remember, you've done so many things right. You don't need to sit there and beat yourself over what you're doing wrong all the time. Should you do it sometimes? Yes. That's how we learn. We make a mistake, or we mess up, or we do something wrong. Yeah. But you also got to remember, when you're doing something new and you're learning something, or you're in that process, or even if you're a seasoned friggin' veteran of whatever the hell you're doing, you're still going to have bad days. Or there's going to be still things that pop up that you just didn't know at the time. Or maybe your mind was in another place. Or whatever it is, you learn from that mistake and you move on. My B mentor friend, best piece of advice he ever has given me was a mistake is only a mistake when it's done wrong twice in the exact same way. Because the mistake, when you make it the first time, the second time you go and do that same exact thing again, you should have learned from your mistake the first time and not done it that exact same way. Now, you may mess up again, but you should mess up in a different way, in a new way. And you learn from that one. And every time you make a mistake or you mess something up, you should be learning every time that you make that new mistake. Okay, that didn't work. If it don't work, you don't go back and try to do it again the exact same way and expect different results. That's the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again the exact same way and expecting different results. Learn from your mistakes. And ain't one of you out here that's useless. Ain't nobody useless. You may not be as good at something as somebody else is, especially starting out. You know, if you're working with somebody and they've been doing it 20, 30 years, you can't walk in the door and think that fucking in a week that you're going to be as good as them and know all the tricks and trades and all the different shit. Don't make you useless. Nobody's useless. Everybody brings something to the table. Whether it's you make people laugh, or they confide in you and they know you're not going to tell other people your secrets, or when you help them when nobody else will, you're the first one to call when they need help, when they need something. All kinds of different things. Sometimes you need to really look, and maybe even ask your friends or ask your family, and maybe hit them with that question right off the, what makes me not useless? I'm feeling useless. Change my mind. I know a lot of people out there don't like talking about these kind of subjects with other people, but you are not useless. Even a rock has its purposes. Even a rock laying on the ground has its purposes. Everything has a purpose. You just got to figure out what it is. You just got to figure out what you were really made for and what you're good at. And when you figure that out, then you'll find your purpose, and understand that you're not useless. Because there's something out there that you're good at, that you're really good at, and people want you for that. With that, I'm going to get off here this morning. Apologize for being later this morning. I was craving orange juice this morning. I don't know if I'm getting sick or what, but I didn't want no coffee this morning. I wanted orange juice, and we didn't have it, so I had to run down the road to the gas station, pick up some orange juice, and of course I had to wait for my phone to charge this morning because I didn't put it on charger right last night. I had every excuse this morning. I'm tired. I am tired. Oh, man. I keep saying it. I know you guys, I know there's people that's got to be up and at work they got to be up at 4:30 because they have to be. Y'all can say it all you want. I have to be up. Well, that ain't shit. But when it's a choice and you don't have to be, it's different. This morning I was really wrestling with, getting up and not going back to sleep. I'm still wrestling with that. Told myself, you know what, just do this live and you can go You go back to bed, take a nap. And I'm going to fight really hard not to do that right now. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. These friggin' sleeping pills. That's what people got to understand. Like, I'm on medication and stuff for not being able to sleep. So these pills definitely don't help that situation. So I've had every excuse not to get on here this morning, and I still did it. It's consistency. Work on it. And remember, you're not useless. Don't let anybody make you feel or tell you that you're useless, because you're not. Always remember two things, y'all. Stronger than what you think, and you're not alone. Peace.
When I was just a young buck, mama always told me, son, keep your head up. I started hustling in the street cause I was fed up. At the age of 13, just trying to get my bread up. Didn't know my father, he was murdered in cold blood. That's why I have no remorse and never show no love. Hoping I piss you off, I really give two fucks. Burning my old bridges, trying to find me a new plug. And knowing that I needed to change, always taking from people who probably needed the same. But I was deep in the game and running deep with my gang. And if our pockets was low, then we was peeping your chain. Boy, gotta come up somehow. Instead of running these streets from sun up to sundown, I gotta change my mindset. It ain't no wondering why now that it wasn't my time yet. And why we gotta learn the hard way, doing things that we know we ain't supposed to. And I'm gonna do whatever it takes to keep the devil on my back to get to where I'm going to. I can never get enough of that tough love. When push comes to shove, you can kick me while I'm down, but I'm gonna get back up. Never get enough of that tough love. When push comes to shove, you can kick me while I'm down, but I'm gonna get back up. Ha! What did you do? This is what I did. Yeah, I followed through with the plans. Washing my hands, I'm through with chasing these bands. Found hope, put down dope, becoming a man. Picking up the number 2 and letting go of the grams. I never thought that I could make it this far, to eating caviar from stealing stereos from your car. You'd be a fool not to change and try and better yourself. Better quit while you ahead, don't get ahead of yourself. And in truth, you'll find peace and find me blowing on pine trees, trying to fill up a dime piece. No more popping my 9-piece or stopping the grind streets. Don't take life for granted, cause boy, you know your time's least. And life is what you make it. Better take the music that you dance to and face it. So next time a hater says you can't make it, let that be your motivation to show them that you was destined for greatness. And why we gotta learn the hard way, doing things that we know we ain't supposed to. And I'm gonna do whatever it takes to keep the devil on my back to get to where I'm going to. I can never get enough of that tough love. When push comes to shove, you can kick me while I'm down, but I'm gonna get back up. Never get enough of that tough love. When push comes to shove, you can kick me while I'm down, but I'm gonna get back up. You see, change is inevitable, so it's never too late to make a difference as an individual. Cause we gotta do that to become better as a whole. All for one, and one for all. And why we gotta learn the hard way,